Welcome back to episode 20 of AyyScare Plays Front Office Football 8, Season 2. In case you have been out of the loop the past couple of episodes, this is our season finale. So, if you missed last episode, I would recommend going back and watching it because we did have actually a very good season. We went 13-3 in the regular season. We got our bye week, and then we lost in the playoffs, first week of the playoffs. Our team overall really just performed across the board last season. Our three main wide receivers have been awesome the past couple of seasons. Our running game has actually taken off the ground a little bit. Our defense really put together probably like a top 10 defense season. One area that is still concerning, and if you watched the last episode, you probably heard me say this too. Holmberg, who is our kind of franchise quarterback that we're really building behind, and he really is a good quarterback. The dude just cannot play a full season. So even though we went 13-3 last year, our main quarterback only played basically 10 games. He made it back 4 playoffs, was 4 for 5 for 19 yards, and then got injured in our playoff game. So a lot of last season came down to our backup quarterback, who didn't play great, but he played well enough that it kept us in. If we look real quick at our power ratings, the game says that we are the top team right now, even though we still have not gotten that bowl win. And if we look at our roster strength, I do want to click through this for a minute here. So I don't know if it's because he's getting injured or not, but Holmberg has slipped a little bit in rating here. Or it might be, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's that he's slipped a little bit, or if it's that he's considered our reserve at the moment because he's currently injured. Either way, Holmberg, I think, if he played a full season, is a top 5 quarterback. He's never played a full season. Or I think he's played one full season where we were down a little bit. So I think it's more fair to say that he's like a top 15 or top like 10 to 15 quarterback. Pulling in the backup quarterback that we did pull in was very big for us. In terms of running game, we have a very clear RB1 and RB2. And then our RB3 also is very decent. So we're like top of the board here, basically. Fullbacks, we also have a good one. Tight ends, we have 2 great ones. One really good one, but also a very good tight end too. So that's why we're at the top here, basically. Wide receivers, we're considered best team in the league. Center, we're currently middle of the pack. Guard, middle of the pack. Tackle, towards the very bottom. We have a good punter, good kicker, decent defensive ends, meh defensive tackles, very good inside linebackers. Will probably end up being first or second in this list going into the season. Outside linebackers, middle of the pack. Cornerback, middle of the pack. Safeties, middle of the pack. More towards the end. So our roster definitely has some weaknesses that we should be addressing. I think the one area that we really don't need to address now is our offensive weapons, which is kind of funny because that's kind of been what the struggle's been, getting those aligned for the past 8 seasons. But as we've tried getting those aligned, our other positions have kind of fallen a little bit. So let's go ahead and hop into our final season. As I've said in the past, one thing that I'm going to make sure of is that we don't just throw everything at this season to try to get a win. Theoretically, when the next head coach takes over this team or general manager takes over this team, I want them to, not have lost all their draft picks and all that jazz. So we'll see. In terms of coaching staff, even though it looks like there is one that might be slightly better here, I'm not going to switch anything. We went 13-3, and then just basically had a very unfortunate playoff run. So I'm going to keep basically all of this intact. All right. And basically our entire coaching staff was either first or second in the list anyway. So nothing to really change there. Before we hop into the season, we do need to look at if any major players retired. And we need to pull up our franchise player salaries because we'll be using that. And then gotta look at our player transactions. Transaction log, there it is. I don't know why. I always forget where that thing is located. Okay, we did not lose anybody to retirement. So that is good for us. There are a number of players on this list that are going to be off of our team. So we should look at these guys and see if any of them are franchise worthy. Maurice Morton actually might be. He put up a fantastic season last year, and I think he actually was that last season. Yep. He finished on the all league second team for defensive end, so he actually might be worth franchising, especially because we don't have another great defensive end. This was our starting right tackle, and he actually had a pretty good season. And then our nose tackle down here, not worth keeping around. Yeah, so we had two really good players. Did this guy make a... Yeah, look at that. He was a first team tackle last year. Ooh, that makes things more complicated. Because, I mean, if you just look at his stats, like, he played all 16 games. He had a 38% key block percentage, 3 pancake blocks, and they only allowed 3 sacks. The other thing is he's a right tackle, which puts more pressure on the run blocking, which he's fantastic in. And I don't know if it still says it over here. It doesn't. I think we were a top 10 rushing team last year. So, and he's 30, and this guy is 29. Okay, so age-wise, I don't think it's too important. Let's look real quick at if there's anybody worth cutting or anything like that. Those are all players that we need to keep. Famatu might be worth cutting or seeing if we can get any trade value out of him. My concern with him is that he was a 13th overall pick. What was that, like 5 seasons ago? Or it looks like 6 seasons ago. He never really stepped up as what you would expect from a 13th overall pick. Like, with that pick, you're expecting a wide receiver 1. I think when he's been healthy, he's proven to be a very solid wide receiver 2. And the other thing about him is that he gets along really well with our main wide receiver. The thing that also makes this a little bit more complicated is that Drew Jefferson, I think he's up for contract this year. Yep, he's up for contract. And you got to remember, right? He realistically is our wide receiver 3, probably. But, like, he's put up very, very decent numbers. So, like, I do think that Drew Jefferson could step up and be our wide receiver 2. We could send Famatu. I don't think he's worth cutting, although I say that I don't know if another team would even consider him with how much he's costing. We'll see. Ike Borders, he's still playing very well for us, not moving him. Starting center, I think we did get a decent backup center. Backup center is going to be like a 50 this season. This guy's a 63. He's also our offensive line leader, though. And then after that, we're paying nobody else double digits, which is really, I think, for me at least, that's kind of my cutoff point. If we were playing in like 2020 or 2022 or whatever, then I would go further down. But with how much players are now getting paid, like it's almost 2090 in the game. So with inflation and all that, like normally I kind of eye it off for 10 million plus is kind of the positions I'm more concerned about. Let's look at, is there anybody that's like, we don't have any conflicts right now. A couple players are angry or unhappy. We should probably try to trade these guys before cutting them. We'll do that here in a second because I don't think trades are open right now. I say that. Okay, maybe because we're in pre-free agency, we are allowed to trade. So maybe we should go through this list now. Let's try. So first guy on the list is Skip. No interest. Left tackle in Vince Kelly. Minnesota's interested. Let's see what we can possibly do here. This guy was a second round pick. Actually, wait, is he potentially our starter this year? I should probably double check this. Yeah, I guess it's going to depend on what we do with McIntry down here. Maybe I shouldn't trade this guy yet. I'm going to remove him. Who else was on that list? Teddy Browning. I mean, this guy was a rookie, so I'm not too concerned about him, but he's going to put all those people over cap. At least right now he is. And the final person on the list was defensive end, who actually might get more play time this year because I don't think we're going to be able to keep both of them. But yeah, actually, I don't think I'm going to even bother entertaining that right now. All right. We do to make this decision, though. I think either of these guys are franchisable. Age is about the same. They're actually almost the exact same size. Not that matters, but just an interesting thing to note. McIntry is a very, very good right tackle. Absolutely helped our running game. He also basically kept our quarterback safe. He only allowed 3 sacks, which, based on what I was saying earlier, I think that is a huge thing that we need to focus on because he cannot stay healthy. The flip side of this is that our defense, outside of like 3 players, is on the rocks. Like they're struggling. Even though our defense as a whole put up a very good outing last year, that we don't know if that's gonna stay in line. This is really the only player we have right now on our defensive front line that is highly rated. And when I say highly, I mean like above a 60. He put up almost 60 tackles as a defensive end, which is great. He put up 10 sacks, 15 hurries. Huh. One thing that I do think is important to note here is that room under cap are at $60 million. Franchising Morton is going to cost us $40 million. Now, more than likely after we franchise them, we will work on their contract, but in short, the defensive end is going to cost us a lot more than the right tackle. And for the pricing reasons, and because I think one of the keys to getting into a good playoff run is keeping our quarterback healthy, I am going to be franchising our right tackle. All right. With that, we can officially begin free agency. All right. So, coming in here, Luther Hall. This guy has consistently been just an absolute monster on defense. He's probably going to cost us a lot, although I think we're already paying him quite a bit. Yep, so actually this will save us basically $3 million this year. And then he'll be expensive, but I think that he is one of the, if not the top inside linebacker in the league right now. So we'll go ahead and extend him. Here is our main running back. And let me take a quick look down here on the list. Artie Price is still on our team. But it's very clear that this guy is our RB1. Oh, that is expensive. I realize I probably go back and forth on this, on these a lot. I hate locking in running backs to deals like this. I think because of that, sometimes the running games struggle for my teams because I don't lock in that big deal between the ages of 25 to 30. But I've just seen so many running backs tank so hard that this just terrifies me. Now, one thing to note is that this is my last year of overseeing this team. So I could just go ahead and click submit, but I would let the next general manager franchise this guy if he ends up being a great asset again. I'm going to let him sit where he's at right now. Also, sorry if I sound a little bit congested. I am dealing with a little bit of congestion right now. But our kicker has been decent. Not great, but decent. So we're going to keep him signed on. This center is probably going to retire after this season, so I'm going to let his contract just sit. Drew Jefferson. All right. Moment of truth. He's asking to get up to $20 million. That's not even considered a top 20. So I'm absolutely keeping him on board. And then, to be quite honest, after that, we really have no money to figure this out. So we need to either make a couple of cuts, or we're going to need to renegotiate some salaries here. So now that these guys have been locked in, I think that it is a fair time to look at Famatu and see if he's willing to come down. It looks like he is. So that will save us about $10 million this year. And this puts him basically at the same pay scale as Drew Jefferson. So I think that's actually a very good deal for us. How much are we paying this guy? It's going to be 20. Because I'm looking here, right? This. Oh man, but when he's gone in, he does not play as well. All right, I'm going to keep him sitting there. We can renegotiate the right tackle here. Here we are. So we're currently franchising him at $27 million. He's basically willing to renegotiate that basically all into bonus, which means it's basically guaranteed, but it'll stick with us for 3 years. So that's actually it doesn't really help us out this year. Wait, why did that help us out so much? Oh, because that bonus gets divided. Okay, yeah. So that is actually a great deal for us. Thank you. We're gonna want to lock in a couple of these guys down here, just because we really don't know what we're going to be able to get through the draft. We don't have an early draft pick, so trying to keep the core of this team together, I think, is actually very important going into this season. Yeah, so if we could also nab like an outside linebacker. This guy doesn't actually seem half bad. He's barely played, but he's going to be dirt cheap, so let's go ahead and get him locked in. This guy seems like he could be a decent backup. All right. Artie Price. I realized that his numbers dipped in the past year, but I do think this guy, his bars still look very decent. I feel like he's still a decent option, but I don't know. His overall rating isn't good, so I'm going to let him play on his current contract. Alright, so now that we've re-signed players here, we don't have a lot of money to deal with free agency, so we're probably going to have to go straight into the draft, basically. I'm just trying to see if there's any... We can see if this left guard is willing to restructure. So it helps us out a little bit. It extends him. Still keeps him in a pretty good pay range. That's actually a good extension for us. Alright. That opened up a little bit of money. I'm only paying $8 million. I think we just re-signed him last year. Let me see, though, if he'll... No, he's not willing to come down at all. This guy, we actually are almost certainly overpaying for right now. But he's proven to be a very good tight end. And I don't think I want to shake things up too much there. We'll keep an eye on it, though. Alright. There are two insanely... Oh, actually, one of them is Maurice Morton. There are two, potentially three really good defensive ends. That is something that we specifically do kind of need. They're all going the same stage, which sucks because that means I don't have a good gauge on what they're going to be getting paid. Yeah, Maurice Morton had a better season than this guy did last year. Outside of that, though, a safety is something that we could definitely use. I think Alexis Brady got hurt last year, if I remember correctly. I don't know, he played the full season. So we dealt with a lot of injuries last year, too. So, maybe getting a couple of names here mixed up. But safety, corner, I mean, I think a lot of our defense really does need a fill-in. We're not going to be able to afford Maurice Morton or the other top defensive end. We're just... our cap space isn't going to allow for it. So we might as well just go ahead and skip to round 3 and see what they go for. Wow. I think Houston really overpaid here. I mean, I realize Oscar is higher rated. Maurice Morton, though, went for like basically a third of the price. So 1 year less, but still, like, it's a pretty big discrepancy. We look at that. New York also signed one of the top nose tackles. So their defensive front should get a pretty nice boost. Well, I'm not going to be able to afford even close to that. So this guy got hurt last year. Again, way too much to what I'm going to be able to afford. We don't need a wide receiver. We could use a corner, but ooh, this guy's actually going for. Why is this guy going for so cheap? I mean, his pass defended for a corner is less than I would like, but I'm not sure why this guy's actually going for so cheap. Well, based on how cheap he's going, I'm going to put in an offer. I'm actually a little bit scared that I'm going to get outbid here. Let me, not 100 million. Let me up these even more. Just because corner is a position that we could use an upgrade in. So the fact that that guy is going where he's going for how cheap he is, I will put in that offer. So I'm offering 24 million for 2 years. Let's see what he goes for. We got him. That's great. I feel like I'm missing something there. I don't exactly know what, but needless to say, we got him. I think that actually is a very big pickup for us. Safety is still a concern, so we could look here at the remaining safeties. Also, did we keep our backup quarterback? I think we did. I think I saw his yeah. Okay, cool. He's 33. Ooh. That actually isn't a terrible deal, but that basically wipes out our money. Let me look at his recent years. He's never. He was a first round pick, and I think that it was a relatively high. Yeah, he was a 14th overall pick. He's definitely never lived up to that, although I will say, a couple of years here, he played pretty darn well. Like, I talk about Alexis Brady always getting in that, like, 80 range. Like, this year, he started 10 games, got 3 interceptions, had pass defended rating of 87. That being said, that was, like, almost a decade ago. So, he is coming off of a very good year. I feel like he could be one of those players that's like, I'm looking for a team that's going to get me a ring. I think that we are a team that has that potential. Oh, yeah, I don't even have enough money to give him a realistic offer. So, I think we're going to need to jump straight into the draft at this point. All right. We have draft pick 27, and we do not have a third round pick. I could have sworn that we weren't in the negative going into the new season, but it looks like we did lose our third round pick for some reason. Normally it has to do with you went too far over cap space, which I don't think we did, but we did something. So, with that in mind, I think that we really should be focused on trying to nail our first 2 picks here. Probably going to use all interviewing to try to get 2 good options here. So, now with free agency and stuff in. I think defensive front and safety are definitely two areas of concern. Our offensive line also definitely has some gaps in it. And that's basically exactly what the game is saying. They don't list safety, which I'm actually surprised about because we don't have a single safety in the top, half of our team. But I guess between these two and this guy down here, they're saying that we're good enough. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but whatever. So, game says defensive front and potentially tackle, which I think are all very fair inputs there. A player like this is very interesting. I think there is a solid chance that this player actually does slip to us. They're only 20. Main reason I think that they could slip is that they're 1% developed. A lot of teams are not going to want to take a 1% developed player this early in the draft, even though they look great. This guy will probably not play for probably 2 seasons minimum. That does kind of put a weird position on him for us because we are kind of in a win now mode. But I think that this is the kind of player that if he fell to us, we would potentially consider him. He's considered very overrated though. So maybe not. Alright. Top safety on the board's not going to fall to us. I will say though, their combine looks great. They're already 50% developed. They're a very good size for safety. If by chance this player fell to me, I would be very interested. I think that player actually has a realistic chance of going in the top 10, but we'll still mark him just in case. So in terms of what we'll be able to get in terms of defensive line, I think these are probably our realistic options. Maybe Norbert Burns falls, because I think he's defensive end 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Depending on where you put that guy. So this guy's 5 or 6. So yeah, let's interview him. Hard to read. Very decent looking bars though, so I'm going to mark him. Very overrated, so we'll definitely be avoiding that guy. That's a very interesting looking player. I think we had another player. I don't remember if it was in when we were Jacksonville or this time. We had another player named Parrish that played very well for us. This looks very interesting, so let's interview him. He's as scouted, so we'll mark him. I think there's a very good chance that he falls to our first round pick. This guy, position defensive tackle, but he fits as a defensive end. Bars are intriguing. I do think that he's interesting. I'll put it that way. And for a 27th overall, it's a maybe for me. There is a potential player, and actually, even though he's sitting here as a right tackle, he's actually most experienced on a scale of 0 to 10, so but it's basically no difference at all, but he's actually most experienced as a right guard, and I feel like he could swap to left tackle. So let's interview him. Very overrated, so no. Okay, Here are two more safeties. Those bars look pretty good. Not a huge fan of play diagnosis being that low, but these other bars, like, you really can't complain about. Considered overrated, but still looks very decent on the bars. I'm going to mark him still as red. This guy, as scouted. I like this. He's only 21% developed, which is a little bit of a downer, but that's okay. That's a very interesting running back, actually. Huh. Interview. Okay, I'm actually marking him because based on running backs, there's a chance that he falls to our second round pick. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Safety. Huh. I'm not a big fan that all of his, like, defenses here are like 50 or lower. His run defense and other bars are really good, though. Very overrated. And then let's look at this tackle now. Here's a card. Now, safety. Another interesting look at safety. Okay. All right. So, I think we really interviewed for positions that we needed. So, we'll see. Caden Woods is not going to fall to us. So, I think realistically, we're probably going to be looking at one of these guys, but we'll see how this pans out. Let's go ahead and wrap up free agency. All right. Running back. Ooh. I said Caden Woods would probably go in the top 10. I'm surprised he went at 3, but proves that his bars were as good as I was thinking. All right, let's speed this up a little bit. So, corner, outside linebacker. I'm not a fan that I'm seeing 2 safeties in the top 10. I'm surprised that so many tackles are going. I realize that we didn't really interview many up there, but that's at least 6 tackles that went in the top 20. That's pretty crazy. All right, so we are up. So how many safeties went? Like, basically almost every safety we liked already went. That's surprising. So this does now bring up a interesting dilemma. So we liked Norbert Burns, and then I think it was Parrish down here also looked very decent. This guy also was of interest, but I don't think we're going to go for him. Big fan of that running back, but running back is probably not a position that we're in as of much need of. So this opens up the door for these guys up here that we did not interview, which always scares me a little bit. But I think of these guys, there is a clear answer here. I mean, this guy knows tackle, so he fits our scheme. He's the top rated player, basically the top rated player remaining. Absolutely crushed the combine. He is only 29% developed, which is a little bit low, but based on our team, he's probably going to slot in directly into a starting role regardless. So let's go ahead, lock him in. All right, so he went nose tackle. Coming back around here, it looks like there are a couple of players still above him, but Dixon Parrish is still available, and the only player left that we actually interviewed. Only downside to this is that he is the lowest developed out of these top remaining options. It looks like Colton Sweeney is rated quite a bit above him. We kind of know what we're getting with Dixon Parrish, though. Can I look at these guys side by side? Okay. Alright, so Colton Sweeney, better rated player. We did not interview him, though, which is key. I like that this guy was interviewed as scouted. Disposition, I don't know how much disposition plays into it, but the fact that he's cheerful kind of like ups it, at least in my book. No idea if that plays into any actual meaning in this game. But, man, this is hard because I really. Obviously, Colton Sweeney, I think, brings a different package to the game than Parrish does. Parrish is much higher on the run defense and less on the pass rush. That being said, being on the right side, that run defense is a little bit more important. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the guy that we'd interviewed, so I'm going to go Parrish here. And we don't have a third round pick, so we'll be sitting here until round 4. All right, we're up again. Let's take a quick look here. All right, both of our players are already in here. It looks like that nose tackle is looking very nice, and actually Parrish is also looking very nice. Both of their current estimates are a little bit low, but based on where they are, I think they're both going to end up starting for us. Yeah, I think tackle is still a concern for us. I don't think we're going to get a starting tackle at this point, but that's an interesting looking set of bars. I'll leave it at that. Do we have... Let's take a quick look at this. We technically have 4 guards, 3. Okay. So our offensive line, I think, actually depth-wise, we're okay. It's just that our depth gets into not great player range. That's the concern there. Even though we have 2 starting running backs, I think that we should pull in an RB3 in the draft. Getting maybe another outside linebacker and then safety again. I think actually safety is probably what I want to be looking at right now. It's an interesting player. Really high in zone, really high. Okay. That's another interesting one. Alright. I think starting wise, top guy is already 62%, but his bars are not as impressive. We technically have 2 starters, so let's go with Tracy here. Let's look at this guy. Didn't do the combine. Now it doesn't look too good. Alright. All right, so here are the running backs. Interesting. Definitely way more interesting. The first guy's bars are definitely better than these others so far. Yeah, okay. I think there's a clear drop off after this guy. Still doesn't have the best bars, and I would love a little bit of different bars on a running back, but for RB3, which is really what this guy is, he's elusive, speed to the outside, great at blitz pickup, and then it has a little bit of passing. So I think that's what I'm looking for, and his dash is really high. So go ahead and nab him in. See if there's any outside linebacker that could add to our rushing. So right here, maybe. Run defense. Those are actually some nice bars, but I'm kind of hoping to find somebody that can add to our rush game a little bit, or our like quarterback hurries and things like that. So I think that is this guy. I think this guy might fall though. So let's actually grab the top guy, and this guy did fall. Awesome. I'm gonna nab him then. All right, let's go. All right, let's take a look at how our rookies are rated. So our 2 first picks are high up here. This was our 6th round pick, so the guy that I was like not sure about because he wasn't as high on the pass rush, but he's looking really good. And then everybody else is further down on this list. Yeah, so it looks like 2 of those guys really didn't pan out much at all. The safety is looking meh. Okay, but it looks like we brought in potentially 3 really good players so far, so that's at least decent. In terms of cap space, we basically have none, so let's only look at maybe 1 or 2 that slipped here. The top top defensive end that slipped. Be a distraction. Okay, never mind. It's a very good looking inside linebacker. If he gains starting experience. I don't think he's going to gain starting experience. All right. Can look at this. That is actually a very intriguing player. Because he could definitely slot in. All right. And then that basically cuts off at the 50 range. So let's see if this guy signs with us. Then we're going to jump on in. He signed. Awesome. Ooh, training camp. All right. Get through preseason, get that seasonal rust off. Nobody get hurt. That's the key. Drew Jefferson, broken nose. Okay, he'll be back. Bruised sternum. We have an okay backup center, though. Okay, cool. All right, let's see how this goes. Week 1. Going up against Las Vegas. Took the W. Going up against Philly. Took the W. Going up against Albuquerque. As a reminder, Albuquerque knocked us out of the playoffs last year. And they actually won the bowl last year, so they're a good team. they did beat us 23-10. All right. So going into the bye weeks, basically. Man, a number of plus signs. This is the main one. Okay, we've lost our left guard for the season. And he is our main offensive lineman, which is not ideal. Let's take a quick look here. Holmberg seems to be struggling a little bit this year so far. He is spreading the ball out a lot, though. Daniels is having a good rushing game for us so far. And looking here at defense through 3 games, it looks like our rushing defense is struggling right now. But we'll see how this all pans out. Let's keep things rolling. Alright, back from the bye week, going up against Buffalo. Buffalo takes it from us. Going up against Miami. Miami takes it from us. Alright. Going up against California. We beat California. So we're sitting at 3-3. Let's take a look at things again. Right. Yep, you see that. I love how when everybody's healthy, Dabney, wide receiver 1, Famatu, wide receiver 2, and like they seem to be vibing very well together. They have different strengths, and then Jefferson is also still putting up some numbers as wide receiver 3, and then both of our tight ends are putting up decent numbers. Through 6 games, it looks like we only have like 4 sacks, which is horrible. So we really do need our defense here to step up, but seems like so far our offense is keeping us in this. So let's keep it rolling. Going up against New England. New England beats us. All right, going up against Kansas City, and they're over touchdown favorites on us. Matu is out again. Again, he gets hurt a lot. Ooh, they beat us hard. Okay. Going up against New Jersey. They beat us. So right now we're sitting at 3-6. That's not a good position to be in. So let's take a quick look at what's potentially going wrong here. Alright, I don't feel like, losing Jake Carmichael up here, I think, is a huge loss for us. Because he was the keystone to our offensive line. It doesn't look like, even though we got those 3 really good rookies, none of them were really shaped up to be season 1 starters, which is a little bit rough. So halfway through the season, basically. Oh, but looks like Holmberg got hurt again, too. Look. Did he miss a start? He didn't miss a start, so it's just that our backup came in. Oh, man. Let me just take a quick look at something. It might take me a second here to find this. I think our rush defense is doing horribly. Is it here where I can check? Opposing linemen sacks allowed. I think that's how you do it, at least. Yeah, that should be right. Okay. Yeah, so we're tied for worst in the league in terms of sacks allowed at 7, which is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Like, even middle ground team is sitting at 20, which is more than double what we have. So that's absolutely not helping us at all. And that's probably going to cost us here. I think our main offensive lineman getting hurt is huge. Famatu getting injured again is huge. And then just really not having any stellar defensive line in this season, at least, is looking like it's majorly detrimental to us. Like, it's hard for me even to like look at any stat really like here and down where it's like somehow completion percentage we're tied for first. No idea how that's possible, but everything below that, it's like, oh yeah, yards per catch we're horrible in. That doesn't surprise me. The quarterback's not getting hit. Like, yards per attempt, like total yardage gained, yeah, we're doing horribly because, you know, not only are we not getting to the quarterback, but the rushing stats were easily like bottom third in the league there. So we'll see if somebody steps up, but it's not looking good here. Going up against Las Vegas, we get the W. All right. Going up against New York, we get the W. Going up against Indianapolis, they are touchdown favorites on us. And they beat us handily. Washington is another very good team this year. They beat us. All right, so we have 3 weeks left. We're sitting at 5-8. We might already be eliminated from playoffs, to be honest. All right. We got a 0.2% chance of getting into playoffs. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Here we go. Going up against Kansas City. They beat us. That's our season. We're going up against Dallas here. They beat us. And then we're going up against California. We beat them. Wrapping up this thing at 6-10. So, something I want to look at. Did we mess up in terms of the player we chose to franchise? Because obviously our pass rush was horrific this season. But I think that our running game actually was pretty decent based on the stats that I was seeing. So let's see. Final game here, Arizona versus Indianapolis. Indianapolis takes the bowl in our final season here. So looking here, I mean, our offense overall did very well. Our main running back went for almost 1,300 yards. Let's take a quick look at him. I mean, he put up another very respectable season. Started for us the entire time. Our overall rushing game, it was 21st, but our passing game was second. So, I don't think that keeping him was a horrible idea. I think our defense definitely struggled without having a really good defensive end. So I do think that in some ways we might have made the wrong decision. But you can't look at it like that, right? Like, we made that decision. I don't think that it worked horribly. I think that our offense was very good. But still, it's very apparent that our defense struggled. I don't know if getting in the end, he was probably like a top 10 defensive end. I don't know if that would have been enough to boost this from us going 6-10 to going 10-6. I think that's probably the best way to word that. So, looking at this, did anybody make Pro Bowl? I think actually our running back may have. He went for basically 1,300 yards on the ground, 8 touchdowns, 0 fumbles. He also added 310 yards through the air and another touchdown. Luther Hall, I think, stands a shot at a All-Star Pro Bowl. I don't think any of these are good enough. If Gaither also did really good at blocking, maybe as a tight end, but I don't think anybody else here qualifies. And then, as always, it's possible that like offensive line made it. Let's take a quick look. All right, number of second team. So running back, he made it. The tackle that I was talking about, he made second team. So I think that proves he was worth it. And then our punter also made second team punter. Man. Well, if you made it to the end of the episode, as a reminder, I will be doing a wrap-up episode where we look at all of the drafts we did, how those players turned out, and pick like a top 10 players and things like that. So I'll see you guys next week for that one. Please let me know in the comments if this is a game that you want me to keep going with on the channel. I do have a couple of other games that I'm interested in playing. I don't get a ton of time to play anymore, just with life going on. But my plan is to keep this channel going. My plan is to continue uploading, hopefully once a week, and might be Front Office Football 8, might be something else. If it's not Front Office Football 8 right away, I think that this game has a very decent chance of making its way back on the channel in, a couple of months or something. But we'll see how it plans out. If you guys enjoyed the series, thank you guys so much for sticking it out with me. And I'll see you guys for the wrap-up episode next week. Till then, AyyScare out.